How's it going, guys? And welcome to another session of the Let's Talk Show by Interlingua. As usual, I'm your guest, Mike, and today we're going to talk about a rather serious topic, but we're going to give it a twist for the sake of your entertainment and for the sake of your process. Because remember, if you are one of the talkers who constantly participate in our talking sessions, you can use the Let's Talk Show as part of your process to practice your English, to listen to people talking English, speaking in English every single time you click on the show. That every single week changes the topic. Every single week it changes the guests. You get a fresh variety of content just for you. And what is the topic, you may ask yourselves? Well, we're going to talk about crime. Yes, we live in Latin America. I think we got that covered for every single one of us. But what is your approach to it? Does it interest you? Do you have no worries at all about crime or security? Be sure to click on the comments and participate to tell your focus and to tell your opinions on the matter. And today, well, we have a little bit of a special twist, since our guests are not only really experienced on this topic, but for the first time ever, our two guests are siblings coming back to the Let's Talk Show. And for the first time together, we have Adri and Poncho. How's it going, guys? Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah. Good to see you guys. I don't know. Perhaps it's the date. Perhaps it's the date. Or perhaps it's the fact that I got both of you guys together. I don't know. Feels good to me. However, what it's not really that good is the topic that we're going to approach today. But we'll try to make it fun, in the most possible way. So, let me start with the most general question. Guys, in the places you live or in the places you have lived, because I know you guys, the places that you have lived, have you ever felt that your physical integrity has been compromised because of the crime and the lack of safetyness in the area that you have lived?
Maybe just twice in my life. I've been very lucky, honestly. The first one was one time when I was still studying at university. I was on the metro on my way, I think, home. And a couple enters to the metro, and the typical, they said, "Buenas tardes, venimos a la correccional," and I said, "Oh my God."
Those guys.
Yes, and I said, "Oh my God,
yeah, I know.
This is the end for me." So I remembered, I was told that if you still give them money, they would be like, "Okay, she gave me money, I'm going to leave them alone." So I gave them, I think, 20 pesos, which was the only money I had left. And they left me alone. And they actually started attacking the girl in front of me. And I said, "Oh my God."
What did they say something hurtful, or did they actually hurt her?
They got very close to her and they were like, "Come on, give us money, come on." And they didn't leave her until she gave them money. They were like threatening her. So I said, "Oh God."
And nobody did anything?
No, of course not. Who is going to do anything with this kind of people?
But I mean, there were two guys, or how many were there?
I just said two, but I wasn't like paying attention. I just said like, I'm going to stay put and try not to get in danger. I don't have the physical appearance or the physical strength to do something.
All right. You actually gave me the key for my next... What? Come again?
And my brother knows about it because he used to give me, defense. self-defense classes, and it went really bad.
Hold that thought, guys. Hold that thought, guys, because we are actually going to move on to that one in a moment. But first, Poncho, I would like to know about your experience on the question that I did earlier on. Have you ever felt like your physical integrity has been compromised?
Yeah, a couple times.
All right.
I mean, we were very lucky, honestly. We usually lived in like nice areas, like not really like top neighborhoods or anything, with the exception of a couple years that we lived in Azcapotzalco, and it was a place called San Juan de Huaca. Even the name. And I mean, I've always been, like kind of a trouble guy, and I like to just mess around and go out with people and friends and all. So I made a lot of friends in that neighborhood, and I used to get into some fights here and there. And it was at some point I met this guy who was, I didn't know at the time, but apparently he was a drug dealer, and he was being looked by, he was being looked by the police at the time. So they had like his whole place locked down and everything. I was in his place at some point and got into a couple fights with them and some of his friends as well. But yeah, it was because I was messing around with them at the time. But yeah, like if you don't mess with them,
it's all cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, a funny thing happens in society, or as the mentality of mankind goes, which is actually contradicting. Because in real life, we avoid people who are, related to a crime or have like a not very healthy lifestyle, if we can call it that way. However, we are very intrigued in our entertainment materials, such as series, documentaries, movies, etc., when they talk about real-life crimes, unsolved mysteries, serial killers. The list goes on and on and on. Has there ever been a case that has really, really intrigued you? Let me give you an example. In my case, there was a time when I was really hooked into the Zodiac Killer, this guy that did some murders in the San Francisco area and part of California during the 60s, and he was never caught. But there was a time that I would, read anything I could that would tell me something, watch videos, documentaries. There is even a movie about it. Have you ever been like that in a case in particular? Adri?
I mean, that I can give you a lot of information about it. No, because I have horrible memory. But I remember when I was studying in my major, there was this, when it was Halloween, during Halloween season, we got the opportunity as a group to decorate the whole classroom as a crime scene. We could choose any murderer or any person and decorate the whole classroom like that. And I remember one of the classrooms chose one Mexican woman that it was called La Tamalera. I don't know if you've heard about her, but
I have.
But she used to make tamales with human meat. Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. And I got curious and I investigated about her. And I found out that there's a lot of people that does that. And I think like 2 weeks ago, I saw some news about a man that was sent to jail because they found out that he had a stand of barbacoa that turned out that it was dog meat. And he was alive very well until they found out that they were dogs.
I had a situation like that in my hometown. But here's what happened in my hometown. the guy actually had a sign that says tacos de perro. So people were buying from him. And when the police came out and they actually told everyone that they were made out of real dogs, the guy's defense was, I never lied.
It says, yeah.
And they let him go. So it's a funny legend down there in the Acapulcos. I will tell you more in a while. But in the meantime, Poncho, has there ever been a case that has intrigued you a lot? Yeah.
Yeah, there has been a couple. Zodiac Killer is one of them. Charles Manson, as well, just the way he manipulated this group of people and what he made them do. And the interviews they made with him, I don't know, Ted Bundy, the Unabomber. I mean, you name it. There's a lot of them.
Unabomber, of course.
I don't know. It's really intriguing to see the interviews they make with them, the interrogatories, all the type of responses they do, the excuses or the reasoning behind what they did and what they think was maybe not, because not all of them think that what they did was right. Some of them, they do understand that what they did was wrong and was out of the ordinary, out of the common decency for society, but they still did it, right? And
yeah.
They had the reasoning. So it's really cool to look at those cases and really, on a psychological level, really understand why they did it, why they picked the victims they picked, how they did it. And, me as a self-defense instructor, it really gives you a better idea on the type of techniques or self-defense approach that you want to teach and apply to yourself as well.
I can't hold it any longer. You're speaking about self-defense. You speak about, certain measures that we have to take or we have to consider whenever something unexpected happens to us when walking in the street. So I would like to ask you guys, given your knowledge, in this case of Poncho, given your training, could you share with me and with the viewers some, tips or measures about what to do whenever you are whenever you are involved in an unpleasant situation while being on the street?
Like there's a lot of things, honestly. Self-defense, that's what I usually tell my students is self-defense does not begin with your fists or when you're in an altercation or already, fighting or in a crime situation. It begins when you walk out of your house, for example. Being self-aware, aware of your surroundings. Like if you're wearing headphones with music too loud and your face stuck on the cell phone, you're not really paying attention to what's surrounding you, and you become an easy target. It's like there is a study that was performed by the FBI in 2015, I think it was. So it has been replicated because initially it was done back in the 80s, and in the 90s, and in the 2000s. What they do is they go on the street, they record people on the street without them noticing that they're being recorded, and then they take that tape and bring it to people that are in because of robbery, violent crimes, things like that, and they will say, well, out of this video, out of these people walking on the street, who will you choose as your victim and why? And usually they pick people that, walk not facing forward, they're looking at the ground, or they seem to be distracted by something. So they become easy targets. So the best thing to do, or the best advice I can give, is usually, or always, just be aware of your surrounding, where you're at, who's around you and detect possible threats. Like if you see somebody that might seem suspicious to you, crossing that feeling and change sidewalks or change directions or walk the other way. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, they start feeling, like that eerie sensation you have in the back of the neck. You see somebody like at the end of the street just looking at you and you're like, I don't know. And people say, well, maybe it's just me, and they keep walking and they get attacked or jumped or whatever. So always trust that feeling. It's always better to, just switch to the other sidewalk or change direction to avoid that if possible.
Alrighty. Adri, if you were caught in a situation when you were suddenly walking down the street late at night, is there anything that you would put into action?
Well, luckily I don't go out of my house, but when I do, mostly like he said, I am paying attention. I am not on my phone, and whenever I am on a car, like an Uber or on the bus, I call them. I don't think I do it with him, but I do it with my dad. I call my dad or my mom, and I keep conversation with them while I am still looking around. Or for example, when I go to Mexico and I go to his house, I text him a lot. So I maintain communication.
You keep in touch with your loved ones or the people close to you, just in case. All right. And that's for everyone. Do it. Do it. Do it. However, also, my highly specialized research team has come to the conclusion that you studied criminology for 8 months. Would you get to share with us what got you into that topic to follow it as a career?
I'll admit that I've always had a little interested in gore, but more than that, I was always interested in those documentaries about serial killers, and I was very curious about what went through their minds when they did these things. So I started with that idea. They told us that to graduate we would have to do our social service, and I had two choices. I could either go to the tough stuff, like going to car accidents and things like that, or I could go to jail and interview criminals. And I said, I want that one. So that one and ballistics were my main point to take that course, that major. And during those 8 months, even though I was terrible in those classes, I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot of stuff, and it still interests me, but not as a career. Just like, this is interesting. I want to know more, but that's it. No.
Did you get like a reality check at some point in which perhaps you had some expectations about what to do, and then all of a sudden, whoa, this isn't what I expected, or this is not how I had pictured it?
I think that maybe my reality check was on my last months there. I don't remember what class it was. I think it was actually medicine. I had one teacher that she worked at that. She used to go to the crime scenes and to the car accidents and things like that. And she was teaching us the 6 different ways of an accident, like when you crash, and then when they slide, and when you continue. And they were like, you need to have a strong heart for this, because there's going to be a point when if the accident or the car crash goes for the 6 steps, you are going to walk for kilometers and be like, oh, here's a tooth. Oh, here's an ear. Oh, here's a finger. And it can go on and on and on. And she started showing us pictures of an accident she went to. And I said, oh my God, I am going to do this one day. Can I actually do it? So that's when I started also thinking, maybe this is not for me.
Oh, that's when you thought twice about it.
Yeah.
Would that was that your most was that the most shocking case that you ever come across to, or was there another one that you thought, oh my god, this is really beyond me, or very heavy?
I think maybe, that somebody showed me. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, there was this accident. I don't remember in what part of Mexico, with a BMW that it was, the driver was extremely drunk and they crashed against the pole and the car got destroyed and the people got decapitated.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity to see all the pictures without any, what do you say? Without any censoring.
All right.
It was incredible to see. Like, it was very, very shocking how the bodies were destroyed.
All right, but then again, it was just like, a case of what are the DWI, I think, true.
Yeah.
Driving while DWI, driving while intoxicated.
DUI.
Yeah, so DUI. Thank you very much, Poncho. So it was like that. You knew no one was responsible for, so to speak. Like, it was just an accident, so to speak. All right. Let's move on to Poncho for him to tell us a bit about his experience about being a 911 translator. This is a number that gets an insane amount of crazy calls, whether they are jokes or they are real life cases. What was it like to receive all those calls while you were in that occupation?
Definitely, it's crazy. I'm still working as an interpreter. I still work with 911. I work with 911, police departments, fire, and medical emergencies as well. So I get a lot of different cases on those. Usually, whenever you get like 911 calls, honestly, like probably 90 out of 100 are not real emergencies. People reporting a stolen car or an abandoned vehicle, like somebody just dropped the vehicle, they didn't know what that is, so reporting it. It's like that. Car accidents that are not like super bad or anything like that. But the other 10 calls are really heavy. Like, it's had, it was kind of funny. It was this guy from Mexico, from like the north of Mexico. He was in Las Vegas, and he called 911 to report a guy. He was a black guy, wielding a machete while naked in the middle of the street, trying to attack people with a machete. And this guy wanted to tackle him down. He was like, yeah. Just send.
I can take him.
I can take him, and when the cops get here, they can just arrest him. So we had to convince this guy not to approach this guy because he had a machete, right?
Yeah.
But I also had, for example, a home invasion. I was an old lady, around 60s, and she called reporting that there was like 2-3 guys breaking into her house at the time. They eventually were able to break in. I had to instruct her to hide in the closet so that she was not fine. She was, it's really tough because as an interpreter, you have to be like in the middle, and you are that bridge of communication between the people calling and the dispatcher. So I had the dispatcher on one ear screaming, saying like, make her shut up, tell her to calm down. They're going to find her. And on the other end, they had the old lady crying and screaming that they broke into her house. So it's like trying to calm her down, trying to obtain the information so that she could, so that we could dispatch the police officer to her house. Unfortunately, at one point, it sounds like she was found in the closet. and somebody got a hold of the phone. They disconnected the call at the time, but we were able to dispatch the police officers. And the tough part of those is because I'm the interpreter, I'm just the breach of communication. I don't really get to follow up with the cases, so I'm not really sure what happened after that.
So you never found out about a situation that did have a happy ending?
Yeah, correct. I don't know why.
Wow.
Man, the last thing the dispatcher said, and that kind of stayed with me. She said, "I think they got it. I think they got her," and like that was the end of the show.
Oof. Strong, heavy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, guys, we have reached the end of the line here when it comes to being in the show. But I really appreciate the fact that you guys took time to participate and be here with us in the show. As usual, you're always welcome here. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
And thanks a lot for all of our viewers for tuning in. Be sure to do it every week since we have new topics, new guests, new things to talk about. It's good for your English. Adri was with us. Poncho was with us. Eric Rios was in the controls. Alfonso was in charge of the editing. I am Mike. Goodbye. And good night. Bye.